All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the recording. And if people jump in late, that's okay. We're going to work out of Google Classroom today. I hope that's okay with you. Christina can also put stuff in the chat if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with doing Google Classroom and something else separately. So to start, I'm going to put I'll start with the slideshow in the chat. So Christina, do you have it already? I have it, but my whole screen so just 1 second, I'll grab it.
Tell me which one it is in the folder, I'll grab it.
No, I have it,
Okay.
I hit present.
I always hesitate to put them in because I know you are always tweaking them, so I never want to do the wrong one like I did it my own the other day.
Yes, I never change mine. So sometimes if you go into my slideshows later, you might see me working on them, but I'm just editing them constantly. So, all right, so here's our slideshow. This is the slide deck we're going to work out of today, but everything is in Google Classroom too. All right, so I'm going to share my screen just to get started. And thank you all for your introductions, kind of looking them over a little bit. I'm going to share my entire desktop. So you're going to see my desktop and you're going to see a little bit on the outside of that as well. Okay. All right, so quick housekeeping. I have a little bit more housekeeping than what's right here, but we'll kind of talk through it. The first thing is just making sure you're muted. If you need to speak, go ahead and unmute and talk, but then make sure you mute yourself after. I know we forget and then there's background noise. There will be an attendance reflection form at the end. And it looks like everybody's in as their name, not your ID number, so that's good. All right, I need to edit my agenda because I've added so many things. So I'm actually gonna jump over into just the objectives, really. Today, we're gonna look at interactive slideshows and various ways to differentiate. So there's only an hour. I really love to have a little bit of work time where you actually have some time to go in and do some work and then come back with questions. But with this being so packed, I'm not sure we're going to have too much of that. So I'm going to try, but if we fly through too fast for you, everything is in Google Classroom. You'll be able to access it. We have office hours you can come to for extra support. But I would love if we could try. So we're gonna set our goal to try to get a little bit of work time in. But if we can't, hopefully that's okay. So the first thing is getting into Google Classroom. I'm gonna have you go into Google Classroom in a second, but the split screen is really gonna be important here. If you really struggle with doing split screen, you can also kind of just minimize Zoom. You can hear me and then be able to do some other work, but you will need to have at least 2 windows up. So I know this is a big point of confusion sometimes, but I kind of labeled this class as intermediate advanced. So hoping that if you're here, you're kind of comfortable with these things and you'll feel like you can kind of just get moving. So looking to have a Zoom screen on one side and another window on the left. One little trick to this is up at the top, you can hover over the red, yellow, and green buttons at the top, and you can click tile window to the left, and one of your screens will go to the left. So if you did that for the Zoom window, I'll be to the left, and then you can open a tab up to the right. Okay. So in order to get into Google Classroom, we've got a code here. And this is unit 3. So unit 1 is differentiating with docs. Unit 2 is looking at slides. This is unit 3. And I'm like, how many units do we have? This is unit 3. This one is slides advanced, but we also have HyperDocs, which will look at slides and docs using all these differentiating tools. Okay. So, but this one we're just going to focus on slides. So if you can get into Google Classroom, I'm going to give everybody maybe 1 minute. And if you could write in the chat or yes or why that you're in Google Classroom and you've found the classwork tab. So in Google Classroom, found the classwork tab, write yes in our chat, please. And now I can't find the chat. I got it. And Christina is here. She's kind of going to lead us in the chat. Cool. Yes is yes. All right.
And if there are no's, I'm going to continue to monitor. So if Kate keeps going, if there's a no, I'll message you privately and get you set up and in there.
Awesome, thank you. So a few times people have said that they like to see the split screen for me, but I do know that it can be kind of confusing. So I'm thinking for you all, I'm gonna just kind of go back and forth between tabs, okay? If that's okay. All right, so classwork. So I got into Google Classroom, and then I went to this classwork tab, and I'll see Unit 1, which was for docs, Unit 2, which was for slides, and Unit 3, which is the more advanced section. And we're kind of gonna work through the things that are here. So the first thing is the slide deck, which most of you are already in, you have it. And if it's just kind of confusing to go back and forth, you can also just work out of the slide deck. The slide deck might be for people who don't want to go into Google Classroom right now. Okay. If you're here though, 3.2 asks this question. I'm going to view the question, and it says, how do you set up or how do you use slides in your classroom currently? So if you could answer that question in Classroom, that'd be great. If you can't get into Classroom, could you please answer that in the chat? And I'll get it to come up in a second. Once we start sharing screen and there's a lot of people here, it gets slow, so I apologize. So the first question, how do you use slides in your classroom now? Or how have you seen slides used to teach? Maybe if you're not in a full teaching position yet. So you can write that answer in Classroom or in the chat. Either place is fine. I'm gonna give everybody just 1 minute to write a quick response. And I can see when the responses pop up here. Right now, all the responses are from the last time we were in the class. So I'll wait for some May 5th responses. Okay, I'm gonna refresh. And let us know if you need any help or if you're stuck or lost. I'm not seeing any answers in the chat yet, so I'm gonna refresh and I think we have 10 people, and then Christine and I, so. So if you're stuck or need any help, or if I'm in the wrong place. There's also, be careful, there's also comments. So if you're writing in the comments rather than the question, that happens too. Okay. Oh, so maybe people are writing in the, oh, there we go. Is it coming up? Or I was in the comments, who knows? All right. So Christina, would you mind putting the slide deck in the chat one more time? I did hear just a new person ding in. And then if you're lost or you need that code is in the slide deck, and I'll go back to it in a second. But just to kind of check out what we got here. So sharing daily slides and links to videos in Google Classroom. Okay. Are we here? Yeah. So some people aren't using it yet. That's fine. Differentiate material, learning different techniques, creating slides so I can use them with my students. That's Joanne. Oh, slides in music class. I think this could be fun. Okay. Kirsten, you've seen them used, but you're not using them yet. Okay, learning remotely, like, yeah, this is a place where we can really put a lot of resources in one spot for students. Oh, phonics and letter sounds, that sounds really good. So you can do videos and sounds and pictures. I like that with Lorraine. Okay, you're seeing them be used in a lot of different ways. Oh my goodness, and so many people said they haven't really been using them. Okay, cool. So I am going to go a little fast through this, but you'll have the recording later, and there's a lot of resources in this classroom. Okay. All right, so let's get started. One downside to Google Classroom is navigating it from the teacher end. We have to click on a million things. All right, so I kind of catch this up. I wouldn't suggest doing this as a teacher. This is kind of tedious for me. I have the classroom and the slideshow, and they have the same things in them. But I've done this just so that in case people can't get into my classroom, they can also use this. All right, so 3.3, I kind of write a little bit more out here as well. So thinking about creating your own UDL template, if you all could go into Google Classroom and open 3.3, I'm kind of just going to talk you through a couple pieces of it. This will kind of get us thinking about how we can use, you know, I know UDL and differentiation, they're kind of similar, but they have some different aspects to them. So I've used UDL as a way to think about this slide deck that's in 3.3 in the Google Classroom. So Google Classroom 3.3, I'm going to open that up. And I use some of these notes to just kind of guide me, right? So one way that we really differentiate with slides is that we can share, every student gets a copy. So all students have their own copies that they can edit and write in. And you could do that through Google Classroom. So I can make a template and I can send that to all my students. But in addition to that, I can also create a template and then make a copy of it. So say I make a lesson and then I want that lesson to have some more things or some more specifics for students who might need some different, have some different needs. So I can make something, file, make a copy, and create another version of that. And through Google Classroom, I can share it with just specific students. So I can actually have 2 or 3 lessons going at one time if I need to. I can also add clear instructions with stuff with extensions like ReadWrite, which we're going to look at next. I can insert audio through ReadWrite, so I can insert my own voice for students, but I can also do that with Screencastify. So we're going to look at those 2 things. And then I can embed videos, and by embedding videos into my slideshows, I don't need students to go to YouTube, which can be a hassle for a lot of parents, but it's also a distraction for students. Okay, so looking at the slideshow, this one was created with UDL in mind. So what you could do is actually walking through the slideshow and get those ideas of how you could build your own lessons using UDL framework in a slideshow. So all the orange is kind of guidance for teachers. And I used this, a lot of the slideshow came up with 7th graders kind of helping me do this. So we did these kind of hyper docs, they're called, and used slideshows a lot, and students would tell me where they were stuck. And through their help, I was able to that ultimately they were fans of. So I don't know how much that means for all grades, but it was worked on, we worked on this a lot. So one thing I put here is make a copy if you want it, if you want to keep this for a separate copy, okay? And then I kind of lay out multiple means of, sorry, we're going slow, multiple means of engagement on slide 4. And some links to UDL. So fostering collaboration and community, that might be actually linking students out to something like a Padlet, a collaborative board. You can provide choice and autonomy, but you can provide choice in your slides. You can actually have students complete certain types of work, or have students make a choice about, you know, which articles they want to read or which theme they want to go on to next. Okay. All right, here's an example of making clear lesson objectives, and I can put those on the slides. And then with Screencastify, I added an audio here at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to show you Screencastify in a minute, but I read my lesson objectives. So if you're doing, I know you just someone mentioned phonics. If you're doing phonics and you actually want your own voice or you want your own sound, you can embed that in that slide. So you could have like guitar and then say it and have the image all on one slide. I use my slide decks mostly to be interactive. So this would require students to upload something or to type a response. And for that reason, this is the directions that I use. I make all the blue slides something that they upload. So it means they have to do something and then upload work. So a lot of people have been doing things that students can do maybe away from the computer, but then they can share with the teacher what they've done. And you could kind of outline that for them, like, go outside and do a cartwheel, and they could take a video of themselves doing a cartwheel and then upload it to one of the blue slides to show that they went outside and did a cartwheel. Composition slides are here, and they're for you. You can steal them. You can just cut and paste them into any slide deck you want. The same with this slide and this whole slide deck. You can have it and do whatever you want with it. I'll show you the composition slides, but those are ones that I prompt students to write in. But if your students aren't writing like in composition that way, you can also have them a green slide and say, write in all the green slides. So you ask a question and you get a response in the slideshow. So no longer thinking about a slide deck as just delivery, but it's actually kind of a notebook that students are writing in with maybe it's like a bunch of worksheets. All right, here's an example of Screencastify in number 7. I explained to students how to use a slide deck. So instead of just handing them a slide deck and hoping that they use it, I'm going to give them directions, and they'll see my face and I'll walk through it, screencasting for them how I want them to do. So normally I'd be able to do this in the classroom. I'd project it and show them step by step what I want them to do, but I can't do that right now. So I can make a screencast. And right in when they're in this, they can just press play and watch it. Okay. I give you some sample slides here to check out, ways that you can add photos, right? You can add pictures, you can insert them, you can move them around. And this is all in your insert tab. Okay. Now this is a composition slide. It is separate from the other slides. So when you go to the top left to add a slide, just keep in mind that this is different from the other slides. So here I'm clicked on the composition slide. I can add more composition slides. But if I delete all my composition slides, the option won't be here anymore. If I go to a different slide, I can click that down menu and see other slides to add. So just keep that in mind. And you could do that with many slide decks. I'll also show you there's a website called Slides Carnival that has tons of different views and different themes, because Google really only has a few and they're not that creative, but you can take them and kind of combine them. So you can have a slide deck that actually has 10 different fancy slides in them. Okay. For multiple means of representation, some suggestions are hyperlinking photos, articles, videos, and infographics about the same topic, and allowing students to choose which ones they want to interact with. And one key with this is, if I'm going to put photos in, I want to go to Insert, Link. So say I'm going to link to a site with photos. I'll put my link in here, but I want to make sure I change my text to tell students what it is they'll be clicking on. So making sure that our links have clear titles and they're not just URLs is really important too. Okay. So consider that. Example 5, you don't have a URL here. I actually am saying photos with framing, and articles about framing, and a video about framing. So all that is linked within. Okay. And then here's an example slide, more composition slides with questions and answers, so you can play around with these. Another piece for UDL, multiple means of expression. So here, I could do a lot of things with students in a slide deck. I can actually have them upload something, like I said before, do a video. They could share out something that they learned through video, through audio. They can use Screencastify. I'll also show you ReadWrite, those two things that they can use. But you can also link them out to something like Flipgrid and have them upload a video of themselves. And then having them make their own screencast by using Screencastify or ReadWrite. I'm going to show you a few more slides before we go on to that in-depth piece. And this is, like I said, this is for you to look at whenever. And then here's an example of a blue slide with this little piece that I added that reminds students to upload. What was really important about this was not only for students that get lost and they forget that they didn't do something, but also when I go into grade, if I'm in their slideshow, there's a lot of slides here and you could kind of go on forever. So it's really important. It might be important for you to know which slides to go to that have student responses instead of just looking through all the slides. So if I were to ask students to respond in all various slides, it would take me a long time to go through the grade. In this way, I know just to go to the composition slides and go to the blue slides. And those are the slides that I'm going to grade. And one other piece to think about with differentiation is being able to comment. So if a student uploaded their work here, I might want to highlight something and comment. I can ask them to do more or tell them that there's something missing, or even just tell them that, something nice about their work. And that's a little comment button here. I can click on that and I can add a comment. And this will be specific for specific students. So that'll be important. Okay. All right, one thing I did want to show you. So we're going to look at, let me make sure I'm not too far off of my directions here. All right, and then so in 3.3, I do kind of lay out that engagement, representation, action, expression that we've already talked about. So that's there for you to look at later. All right, we're going to look at screencasting next, and I wanted to show you read-write in slides. So let's say I'm here. Read-write is it's an extension that you have to get. Students already have it. So if you already have it, it's up at the top here. It says read-write. I'm on it. It's going to take a second to load. And then all these pieces will come up at the top. That's because I added that extension. So make sure you are logged into your Boston Public Schools Chrome. So I have a Chrome browser that's for Boston Public Schools. And then download that extension. But students on their Chromebooks will already have it. So you can have a Zoom meeting with students and actually just show them where all these things are. So if I'm a student, so to help a student, I could show a student how to press play when they're in a slide that they want to hear read to them. Let's see if that will work. Can you hear that? Christina, can you confirm that you can hear this?
Yes, I cannot hear it talking, no.
You could hear that?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just because, you're listening to me, but when you're in it, you can hear it. So a student can use this to hear that read to them. So that's read-write. But in addition, let's say this isn't as beautiful as Screencastify. So I'm going to go here. This is a Screencastify audio. And I'll show you how I did that. But if I wanted to, I can also do that just by using read-write. So I'm going to go up to read-write, and I hope I remember which button it is. I always have to read these. I don't think these are very intuitive, these symbols. There's Audio Maker. So I'll click on Audio Maker. Oh no, that's wrong. Sorry, it's not Audio Maker. I'm helpless. No, I'm losing everything. All right, I lost it. Let's go. Christina, do you remember which one it is to audio? I always have to read everything in read-write. So I have to reload my slideshow.
What do you mean?
No, you have to read them too. I'm going to make an audio directions for students. And what I don't like about it is that it comes up as a comment. So it's not as pretty as Screencastify, but it is a little bit easier if you're already using read-write. But we can just jump into Screencastify because it's better. But there is the ability. What could be really cool for me is for students, and I've had students use this, and I've had students use this to write. So I had many students who would tell a story, and they would do the text, the voice to text. So if you have a slide that you want them to write in, they can just use the voice to text. That was really popular for my students with interrupted schooling. And that one is, maybe it's right here. So you would have to go and talk and type. You would have to go in and kind of play around with these. But I was also thinking, I wonder if it would be easy for students if they have a message for me and maybe they're not a strong writer and they want to leave a message for me just by speaking, that they can also do that. But I forget which button it is. It's not Audio Maker. I was wrong. Audio Maker. Actually, let me show you really quickly. Let's go into this. If students don't know what words mean, they can say they've got a word here like lesson. They can go to the picture dictionary and they can actually get a picture. So this is something you do have to walk through with students. to show them how to use these features, but they can get a picture of a word they didn't know. They can get it played for them so they can hear it. Okay. All right, and there is a feature to leave a little audio, but I'd rather go into Screencastify because it's way better. All right, so this is still playing.
I think that Screencastify is definitely better for like the teacher perspective, right? And like teachers being able to show like what's on their screen and give instructions, like doing voiceovers there. Whereas like the read and write, when it comes to that read aloud or like that voice capture, is more for students. So it's that little, like, it looks like a little kid like holding a book. And that is like more for like if they want to like practice reading out loud or like leave a voice memo like that.
Yes, so you can leave a voice, so they could leave you a voice memo. Like say you wanted a student to do something and he was struggling with it, he could leave you a voice memo in his slide to maybe explain why he wasn't there or why he didn't do that work. And it comes out as a comment. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my Screencastify, and my computer is making loud noises right now. So I'm hoping that this doesn't affect our slideshow, but I am going to go into Screencastify just because it is better, yes. But it might be a little bit harder to show students how to use Screencastify. So for teachers, Screencastify is definitely superior. And I think Christina can put Screencastify in the chat so you can go get it on and put it on your Chrome browser. And I would love to even give you 5 minutes to make a screencast, but I'm going to show you how to do it first. Okay, so let's say I'm in my slideshow, and this is a slideshow I want to show students how to use. And for my other one, I actually started here because I really wanted students to know how to use the slide deck. But you could start in Google Classroom and you can walk them through whatever you want. Now, once I download Screencastify, it comes up here in the top right, and it comes up like as a little button on the top. And I know Screencastify because it's one of my favorites. Okay, so when I click on it, it's going to open my screencast. And I apologize for the slowness. But while I'm doing this, if you want to go and grab that link and add that to Chrome. Oh goodness, we're having trouble locating your account, it says. I can tell that my computer is really slow right now. I'm so sorry. It also could it could be Google, I'm not sure. Okay, there we go. So it's linked to my Google Chrome, and the only limitation here is 5 minutes, which isn't too bad. And it might even be helpful to kind of make you repeat yourself and get everything into 5 minutes, which I found a little difficult in my direction. So I want to make sure my microphone's enabled and my webcam's enabled. And I want to choose whether I want to show them my whole desktop, my face only, or just this browser tab. So I'm going to show them the browser tab. Or actually, let's go for the whole desktop right now. I'm going to click record, and then it's going to grab a video of my face and come up in the right-hand corner. And I hope that works for you to be able to see it. Not there yet. Can you see how it asks me to share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to pick the screen 2. Okay, and now it should be showing at the bottom. You can't see this, but at the bottom it says you're sharing your screen with Screencastify. And then hold on, it's coming. Okay. Now, the only reason why this looks a little funky for you guys is because I have 2 screens. You should actually see yourself on the right-hand corner. You won't see that for mine because I have 2 monitors going. So if you use 2 monitors, it gets a little bit crazy. So right now it's recording me. And if I were to walk through the slides here, I would be able to walk through them all with students. When I'm done, I click stop. And in the future, I should probably do this without my second monitor so that so you can actually see it all. But it's super easy to use. Like, it was so easy. I just hit go, I heard it count down, I saw my face in the corner, and then I hit stop. And now it opens up this new window for me. Okay, and that you can hear me talking, and it's all right here. So all I would do is go and change this to make sure I knew, I knew what this was for. And it's going to be the last thing Oh, sorry. I don't know if someone was asking a question. Um, all right, so this is here, and this is actually, I'm not going to do anything here. I'm not going to publish it or share the classroom. If I want just an audio file, I can export audio only. So say I don't want my face and I don't want my whole screen, I can also just do audio only, okay? Now, when I'm in Google Classroom, I'm sorry, when I'm in my slideshow and I want to put that in, all I have to do is, let's say I'm going to make a new slide, then I'm going to go Insert, Video, Google Drive, and it's the last thing I just did, screencast May 6th. It's so beautiful. It's so easy. And if I had hit export to audio, there would be an audio file that says that's the last thing I did right there. That's amazing. Okay. And I double click it and it will embed itself right into my slideshow. The downside, and I'm not sure why this keeps happening, is that the screen just looks, the front of it just looks black for a while. And usually a little bit later it will change and you can actually see the thumbnail of you doing the screencast. Okay. So it's 2:34 and I wanted to be able to give everyone just a couple minutes, maybe even just like 2 minutes to test it out. So you're opening a screencast, or you got the extension, you got the screencast going, and you're just going to try to create one and insert it. So what you would need to do is have the slideshow open. You could take my slideshow and do, you could do file, make a copy, entire presentation, and have your own, and go ahead and try to make a quick screencast that you insert. Does that sound good? I know that's a lot, but I promise it's not that bad. All right, so I'm gonna be quiet, and I have to be quiet for at least 3 minutes so that I don't go over your screencast. So you're gonna try to do a screencast, and I'm gonna be quiet. All right, I'm gonna come back in 30 seconds. So if you're off in Screencastify land, try to come on back. There's a few more things to do. Could you please write in the chat if you were able to make a screencast, even if it was a 30-second quick screencast? So yes, if you were able to make a quick screencast in the chat. Awesome. We have 3 yeses so far. And if you didn't get there yet, I'm thinking you got close and you're ready to, once we hang up from this call. Awesome. Okay, so getting the video done, but then you're gonna post it in the slide later. Thank you. Cool. Very cool. Okay. Awesome. All right. So I'm gonna move on to, I think we have 2 more things. Ooh, okay. 2 more things. All right. Background. So there's actually 3 things. I don't think we're going to get to the 3rd one. So I'm going to go here quickly. Creating backgrounds. This is 3.5. You can create backgrounds that you don't want students to edit. And the way you would do that is by saving something as a PNG and then uploading it as a background in your slide. That doesn't have to be for all your slides. It can be for specific ones. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you how we do this using what we have in 3.5. In 3.5, I have that Frayer model, and I'm going to use the vocabulary concept map. So you can follow me there. Again, you can steal these and use these for your own classes if you want. And then thinking about, you know, how you want this to look for your students. So the way that it's done here is actually pretty cool, and you could use it as is. But let's say you're really struggling with students deleting things. So when I put in boxes or I put in words, later I come back and students have deleted them. I can always fix that by going to the last edit and editing it and fixing it. But if it gets kind of crazy, like 5 or 6 of my students have deleted things, it can be obnoxious. So one way around that is to save things as a PNG and then upload them back. So let's go, if we're on slide 2, and you don't have to be here with me, you can just watch this if you want. But I think you all have editing access, but please don't edit it. You could just steal it. So do file, make a copy if you want it. And then you can use it. File, make a copy. Oh my God, so slow, entire presentation. All right, but I wanted to show you here, because all these things are editable and I don't want students to edit them. I'll show you an example. Okay, when I click on this, all that blue comes up. That means I can delete, you know, I can move things around. You just totally delete it. And that can be annoying. So I'm going to undo a couple times to get that back to how it was, but I don't want to have to do that for my students all the time. So it's a really quick and easy step. If my computer wasn't so slow. Okay. A really quick and easy step is, once I've designed this, or I like this as it is, and this is really just a table, so 4 different, this table separated, and then, you know, writing in the corners, and you can see that's a text box. Create stuff like that on your own. Go to File, Download, PNG, click on that, and it's on that slide, it's going to download the image just of this slide. Image to upload. So I'm going to make a little note to myself, and I absolutely hate the MacBooks where they put things. I can never find anything. So be careful to note this, but I'll show you a trick also. I'm going to click Save. And it's actually going to pop up here at the bottom of my screen. Okay. So now I'm going to make a new slide. Oops, sorry. I want to make a completely blank slide because I'm going to upload something. I don't want to have to go through and delete the text. So in this slide, there's text. There's like text boxes. So I've got a completely blank slide, and I'm going to just grab that image. I'm sorry. I could do 2 things. This is one of them. One of the things is I can grab the image and put it in. Now the whole thing is an image, and students can't delete the pieces, but they could delete the entire image, okay? And you would have to prompt, you kind of have to fix the formatting, fix it to go into the slides. and you'd want to prompt students to go to text box to make a text box here. But characteristics examples, students can put pictures too, right? So student might have a word and then you'll have to teach students how to do this too. Insert image, search the web for a picture of that thing. So let's say we've done golf with our example. Let's say it's golf, and a student wants an example of golf. They can go and put that in, and they want to shrink it down. So there's a little bit, if you have students who are kind of new to this stuff, of showing them some of your expectations, how you want them to move things around and size things. But all right, so that's one example. But let's say I want it. Yeah.
Can I stop you to just ask a quick question that came up in the chat?
Sure.
The question was, can you make a PNG of a text box if you want to move vocal words around to various areas of the slide?
Well, I'm not sure if I totally understand it, but if I want a text box, I want someone to write in it. So if I want the students to be able to write in it, I wouldn't want that to be frozen, if that makes sense, but I'm not sure I answered that question right.
Can I explain what I'm asking?
Yes.
Yes. If I was doing something where I had, sort of like a game where I had definitions at the bottom of the slide, but I had words, and I wanted to move the whole word and put it with the definition so they could, choose. And
Perfect. Yes.
A while back, the other day, and I couldn't.
All right, let's try this. So, question, Kevin, right now. The one that we just did was, so we did PN, I just picked it up because this was so easy, and I moved it in, right? So let's say, I'm going to show you the second piece of that, and then I'm going to add to it, okay? So that one is an image.
Yeah. I was able to do the whole slide, and make the PNG, and I had done the text boxes and all of that, and I had the definitions with the text boxes, and I made a PNG slide. But the next step was putting the actual vocab words on top of that, and being able to move them around. So
this is what I would, in your case, Kevin, I actually prefer
it was just
7th and 8th graders. And 7th and 8th graders. So the PNG was easy for me, sorry, actually moving that image over was easy for me. But students could delete that. Another way is to change the background, actually making the background that piece. Okay, so let's say instead of the background, and I choose, I can still pick this up over in the corner because in the corner, and I could put that in. Okay, right. Now this is going to be the entire background. And it's not movable. No one can do anything to it. Right. So let's say I'll do insert text box, and I want students to be able to move this around. I want the top of that frozen file. So that I might say golf. Okay, and I can mess around with this however I want. I can change the font, and students can do that as well. Okay, and then you could do things. You could actually move it out to the side here. Want to see this? You could have your list of words in the corner, and then say they know to pick it up and move it where you want them to move it. But this part you don't want to be frozen, so you don't want that in the PNG part. All that you want to be in that background is stuff that you don't want to move, and then you can, you can mess around with. Oops, sorry. So change the color of it. Maybe I want it dark blue, and I want so that part you want it to be a text box. You want that to be editable, and you want students to pick it up and move them around. Also,
people need to leave me alone.
Consider.
I can. I can always call later on.
You could do our office hours if you want to do, but I hope I sort of answered your question. That was my goal. All right. So yeah, I can also do this and put a text box in there for them to write in. I would say right answer here. Something like that. So you can kind of do that throughout here. All these visible, depending on how you feel. If you're worried that students are going to do things, you can leave them. But if you are worried about that, you can make that background. All right. Are there any questions, chat, about to add to creating backgrounds?
No.
Okay, so let's move on to creating links and table of contents. So I have an example in 3.6 of a hyperdoc with a table of contents. So let's say your student's choice and you don't want them to go to YouTube, so you don't want to make a whole list of URLs for them to go to. You could make a giant hyperdoc, which would be a slideshow with a lot of slides in it, and you can have students make choices of where they want to go. And I bet you can come up with a million other ideas to use this. But in this one, and this comes from the HyperDocs webinar that I have, I think it's tomorrow. So this is one of the pieces. I asked teachers to go here and spend 8 minutes exploring. Okay, so they have 8 minutes to explore the why. Why would I do this? Why would I create these things, these HyperDocs? And then I made a table of contents so they could choose. They could choose a video, the real hype, a video into the HyperDocs. They could choose articles. They could choose Padlet boards filled with HyperDocs to explore, infographics, or the rubric for HyperDocs. So a student could sit here and say, okay, of all these things, where do I want to go? And when they click on, let's say, the rubric, it'll take them to slide 10, where there's a rubric. Okay. And that just sort of makes things organized easily. So you can either use a slideshow as a book, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, but you could also use the slideshow as a choice option where students can go in and pick what they want to do. All right, and the way you'll do that, so these, like I said, they're embedded. I also put little links back to the table of contents in case some students get lost, watch their video, and they can go back to their table of contents. You could also have, they watch a video and then have a link to the response answer you want them to put in. So playing around with how we link things. All right, the way you would do that is, let's say I add a slide at the end. So I'm just going to add a slide. I really want to title my slides. That makes them easy. It makes it easier to do this if you get into more than 10 slides. So I might title this slide golf because I'm really stuck on this golf idea. I don't know why. All right, and then let's say I'm in my table of contents and I just kind of made 2 lists here. These aren't special, they're just text boxes. And then I'm gonna make a title golf, highlight, insert link, and instead of linking an actual URL, I'm going to click on the slides in this presentation, and I'm going to go down to the slide that's titled golf. Click and apply. Boom. So now if a student wants to read about golf, they can go specifically to the slide on golf. Okay. That's pretty simple setup, simple thing to do. And then I can do that from any slide. So like I said here, I just inserted another text box, insert text box, and then I made a link back to table of contents, and I linked it back just as I did here to the table of contents. Okay. All right, so it's 2:52, and I want to make sure there's time for our final Padlet. And I did have, Christina, you didn't have a quick and easy way to fix that PDF issue I was having, right?
I did, yeah. I put it together for you. I did, yeah.
All right, so if you want, we can skip the Padlet because our final thing, our feedback form has feedback and reflection. I would love for us to go to Padlet, but if Christina could share her screen. Are you in Google Classroom in the PDF and slides?
I can be
Yes.
in just 1 second. I'm just gonna pull that up.
It looks like you might be because you wrote in it.
I did write in it, and then I was doing other things, and I X'd it out.
Okay.
So I want to.
All right, so that's in our classwork. I did write under construction. So if you guys want to choose the under construction piece, I think Christina might have fixed something for me.
Yes. So we'll go
Okay.
to under
All right,
construction.
Stop sharing my screen. You want to share yours?
Yep.
And
Just
do
give me
this last piece?
1 second here.
So what Christina's going to show us how to do is, if you are, I think this happens a lot with math teachers, if you have a math assignment and it's in a PDF and you have it online and you want to give it to students, you can give it to them through Google Classroom. Every student gets a copy and have them use read write. That is possible. And you can come to office hours if you want some help with that. Just know that that's a thing that you can do. But you can also use a slideshow, as we saw with the text boxes, to upload it and put text boxes where you want kids to write the answer. It kind of depends on what it is that you're doing. But she'll show us. I'll leave it up to her. Go ahead,
Okay.
Christina.
Yeah, no. So what I'm going to show you right now is, if you have a PDF image, like let's say it's like a math worksheet, right? Or like something that you downloaded from like Teachers Pay Teachers, and it comes in as a PDF. And the kids, it's not really editable because the kids can't write on it. One option that you have is that you can go into your Google Slides, open up a new slide, and you can change the page size here in page setup to a custom size of 8.5 by 11 or 8 by 11. And so it looks like, it gets to be that size of what those typically come out as. Now, you can't make a PDF a background on slides. You have to convert it to an image. So when you download that file, can you see my Finder down here, Kate, that I'm hovering over?
No, I can see the.
Can you see it when I open
practice.
it? You can see it now?
No.
Okay.
We just see the PDF and slides.
Okay, so you can't see my Finder window when it comes up here?
No.
Darn it. Okay, so when you download anything, it opens up in your Finder, and you can find it in your downloads. So I'm going to open up this PDF. Can you see this?
No, it's just in PDF and slides. Are you sharing
All
your
right, give me a
desktop or
second. I should be, but let me see. I should be, but here.
Earlier,
we
Rhiannon
go.
was saying she was having trouble sharing. Okay.
This
There you
is it now, right? So what
Yeah.
I did was I went into my downloads. This is something that I downloaded from the internet. It's a PDF. I know it's a PDF because it has that .pdf at the end there. And when I open it up from my Finder, it's automatically going to open up in preview. So when I open it up in preview, I can go to File, Export, and then here where it says Format, I'm going to change it to a JPEG. A JPEG means I'm now saving it as an image. I'm going to hit Save. I already did it, so I was practicing before. So now I know that this is saved as an image. So I'm going to make a new slide here. I'm going to make sure that the layout is blank. And then I'm going to go to Background. Choose Image. I'm going to choose that JPEG image. And now here it is as the background. So I can, for my students, I can have them, now they can put shapes, they can circle stuff, they can write on it, really kind of add in any like text box that they want to, and they can interact with it and write over it. What's nice about this is that now you can still make a copy for each student in your Google Classroom, and you'll be able to see however they have edited this template that you've now created.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so that one that we had, that was the one we were using. That's probably a better example of sharing as a PDF in Google Classroom and letting them use ReadWrite. I think we should, it'd be cool to look for examples that are really good in the slideshow. But, I think everybody's doing different things and teaching different grade levels. So with everything we put together, hopefully you found a couple tips and tricks that will work for what you are teaching and what fits you. I just added the reflection feedback form into the chat. Thank you so much, Christina, because I did that a long time ago and then I couldn't remember how to do it. So I'm glad you
I just did it with a teacher yesterday, so it worked out perfectly.
Yes, I never taught anything. I always taught English in ESL, so I didn't really need any of those. But for math, we've been trying to reach our math teachers a little bit more. All right, so you have the feedback reflection form, and when this is over, I'm going to send you an email with the recording so you can review it if you need it. It's a slide deck. You have access to Google Classroom, and I hope to see some of you tomorrow in I think it's tomorrow, I'll have to look, in the HyperDocs webinar that's about all HyperDocs, and you'll see a couple of these things again. And the last thing I just want to link into the chat is our webinars. So if you are looking for a few more to join us in, they're all there.
And tomorrow at 1 o'clock is the
HyperDocs. Awesome. And I really look forward to your feedback. I read it carefully and am constantly adjusting what I do to meet your feedback. So I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end our meeting so that another meeting can begin. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank you, Christina.
Bye, all. Thank you. Thanks, Kate.